right. Hey everyone. Welcome back to Summer School E-commerce Ops Edition. I'm Christina, your host from the Tax Cloud team, and today I'm really excited to be joined by Marco from the Loop Returns team. Marco and I actually previously worked together at an old company, so Marco, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to dig in and share some fun, interesting tips.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, for everyone that's been listening, as you know, the goal of these series is to make them digestible, to bring on the experts and really have them teach the topics that they know best. So for today, Marco and the Loops team is going to be talking all about returns. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, Marco, is I'm going to hand over the mic to you, let you get into the good stuff, and then we'll catch up at the end and go from there.
Perfect. Thank you again for having me. Great to meet the folks that are watching. So thank you very much for your time and attention. We will go ahead and dive in and talk about redefining returns for growth. Typically, returns are associated as costs, one of the bigger costs that brands have on the P&L. And so what Loop is doing is we're trying to flip that model on its head, and I'll explain how we do that right here. So to take a step back and to think about all of the challenges that brands are facing right now, there are cost increases all over the place, whether you're looking at tariffs and completely new, costs and strategies that we have to adapt to in this 2025 year, or if we're just looking generally across the growing increased costs around acquisition, shipping, labor, and really software and everything that it takes to run your business. So if we look at like a P&L that we have over here on the right, in the red are all of the costs that are impacting your bottom line as a brand. And what we're trying to do at Loop here is to optimize that and to flip that around and to turn those red lines into, black or green, and either reduce those costs entirely and or grow the gross sales side of the business. So what we're trying to really change the narrative here about returns being a cost and actually creating growth through returns. And so I'll explain how we're doing that and how you can do it as a brand as well. So what we've seen and what the data has been showing us, we have about 5,000 plus brands over here at Loop, mostly on Shopify. And 64% of our brands, of those 5,000 brands, are actually charging for a return right now. That is a big increase over the last 5 years. Typically, everyone's been, sort of accustomed by Amazon and Prime to, not expect fees, not expect shipping costs, not expect returns costs, but that narrative has been changing again as things have been getting more expensive. And when we survey customers, we actually have learned that about 70% of shoppers are willing to pay for a convenient premium experience, so long as that you can articulate that value clearly to them. And so what we started to do is shift where the returns fees are coming. And so typically what you experience as a consumer is you're going to return the shirt because, let's say you're just not happy with it. And as you go through the return flow, at the very, very end, they'll say, hey, we're going to take $8 off your refund to cover for the return shipping label. And that kind of sours the experience sometimes for consumers. And we want to change that from like a friction, process, where like the return may not be as satisfying as it could be, and bring that to the forefront, especially as, brands are getting more used to charging for these fees because they have to cover the cost somewhere. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to impact their P&L and won't help them sustain as a business. And so we call this model Checkout Plus. As you see here on the right, we are bringing the returns fee into the actual checkout experience up front rather than letting it linger in the post-purchase return experience where it can be a little bit less clear and a little bit less obvious that is something that a consumer has to prepare for. And so if we think about how it works, we are allowing customers to pay a small fee at the checkout experience to then unlock a free return. And if they opt in, then that means they're not going to get dinged later when they are returning an item. And so what this does for brands is it creates a new stream of revenue, freeing up cash flow. So we typically see anywhere from 50 to 70% plus attach rates of all of the consumers saying, yes, I want to include a returns coverage fee so that I will not have to pay a larger fee later. That also boosts purchase confidence. So we actually see conversion rates increasing, as well as average order value, because then people feel more comfortable and confident trying more products, trying more sizes, more variants, or even just for the first time trying a new brand. And then what that also ends up doing is reducing return policy abuse as well, and people trying to skirt those rules to try and get some sort of free products or whatever that might be from the brand. And so all in all, we're seeing a lot of positive trends just really across the board implementing this model. And brands are really rushing to it quickly because they are trying to reduce all those fees that I showed earlier in the presentation while creating a new opportunity for growth in this economy, which can be pretty challenging. And so the way that we see it, or how a consumer would see it, is in that checkout again, you would see that option to include the returns coverage in your order. And then that's going to be verified as you go through the flow of including your credit card information, things like that. And then if you're actually going through a returns flow later and you are trying to return those shoes because you don't like the color or the size, it will tell you that, hey, you're covered for a free return. You're not going to have to pay an extra fee. Versus if you did not opt in for that $298 returns coverage, then it would confirm that you're not opted in. And if you do go to return later, then you would be responsible for the handling fee or the label fee. And so again, to sort of bring all of this back to the beginning, we are trying to cover those costs for brands around returns fees and things like that, so that we can reduce that on the P&L. But then if we have consumers opting into the model here for Checkout Plus, then they are growing new streams of revenue. And that is actually also going to cover all the costs of returns labels, really eliminating tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from a P&L, which I'll show in a minute. And so if you're wondering what this might feel like to a consumer, or that this is a little bit of a different model, I'm not used to it, it definitely is on the newer side. We've done a lot of user testing to try and determine if this is the right direction to go and how consumers feel about it. And so it's generally positive. Some of the highlights here are around transparency and being honest with consumers and giving them choices and actually letting them make a decision as to whether or not they want to include that fee and how that impacts their confidence, and also how they're going to then manage a return later. So again, why are we implementing this sort of a model? Well, 64% of merchants are already charging for a fee, and that's a 40% increase from 2020. And so just to reiterate, this is happening whether or not it's going to be at the checkout or it's going to be later. And so our philosophy is that if we bring it to the cart portion of the consumer experience, then we can have a more honest dialogue, and we can let consumers think a little bit more about what they're going to do with those products, if they are actually going to buy multiple sizes, multiple colors, and actually return some items, rather than playing the guessing game and then that potentially impacting a return experience and overall consumer experience in the future. So we're seeing some really great trends across the board. I mentioned this a little bit earlier. We're seeing from this one brand, they do about $12 million in apparel. We A/B tested this Checkout Plus model with them between not offering anything and offering Checkout Plus for the returns coverage. And what we actually saw with this brand was an increase pretty much across the board of conversion rate, which is the almighty in e-commerce, as we all know, while also decreasing cart abandonment by 2.4%. Again, speaking to the transparency and honesty, and giving consumers a little bit more confidence in what they're actually paying for and what's going to happen if they don't like a product, or if they're trying something for the first time and they're just unsure. And then as well, increasing the average order value, giving them more confidence to buy a few more things, so that they're not really worried about what the returns fees are going to be on one or multiple items in the future. So at the end of the day, this is something that's a little bit newer, a little bit more interesting and exciting, in my opinion, than the returns and post-purchase space. And the way that we're differentiating this further from the market is that we're actually giving revenue share on this model. So again, if you think about some back of the napkin math, if a fee is $198 or $298, and you're seeing 70% of all of your orders start to adopt that model, then that revenue is going to quickly scale up. And so what we do is we want to offer that back to the brand. So not only are we eliminating the costs of what Loop might be for software, not only are we going to cover the returns label costs for all the returns that do happen, right? Then we're actually also going to offer a revenue share on top of that. And so the savings could be pretty tremendous for a brand, just even without the revenue share, just getting rid of software, getting rid of returns labels and other associated costs with, actually accepting returns and sending returns back to your warehouse. And then for the customer on the right-hand side, they're either seeing a checkout plus fee that could be $1.98, $2.98, $3.98. It really depends on a variety of factors for your brand. And then a handling fee, which also is pretty dynamic, depending on what your average label cost is as a brand. So to add to some of these features and the overall strategy of charging for returns and offering that at the checkout, you can also bolt on a package protection, which is pretty common in the space. A lot of brands have been offering package protection for years without any sort of returns protection or returns coverage. And so if somebody's used to already offering package protection, we can bundle that together with Checkout Plus. And so you would see a larger dollar figure in the event that you did want to. And that just really creates for a seamless experience. You don't want to offer like multiple things in the checkout for coverage for this, coverage for that. You do want it to be nice and concise and efficient for the consumer. And we have a ton of levers in the Loop platform so that we can make sure that maybe this isn't something you want to offer to your VIPs. Maybe you already waive all returns fees for your VIPs, your customers that spend the most or order the most from you. So we can make sure that using our workflows feature that you can basically waive anything related to your VIPs, really anything, any kind of tag that you have in Shopify, any condition or attribute, you can create a workflow off of. But what's very common in the space and some of the most frequent questions we get asked is, okay, well, how do I make sure I don't charge this to my best customers? And so we've thought that through, and you can do it based off a customer tag right here and take any action you want to take. Similarly, if it's based on the item grade or something else like that to incentivize some sort of an exchange. And so you can waive fees to make sure that somebody exchanges for something else to then get them another product and to really retain that revenue for you as a brand. And so again, we have A/B testing for this. This is something that we can always set up and is really helpful and impactful if you're trying to figure out if this is something that your consumers are going to appreciate or not. Also, A/B testing different fees as well. So all in all, that is Checkout Plus in a nutshell. Again, this is the era of redefining returns for growth. And you can learn more at loopreturns.com. You can reach out to me at Paulis at loopreturns.com. Happy to get you in touch with someone on the team and share whatever information we can to help you out.
Awesome. Marco, that was great. I think you nailed it with the title name, Redefining Returns, because I know I'm new to this space personally, but it does feel like a really new, innovative strategy for brands to be thinking about, which is exactly what we want to be teaching in this series, right? So if you're listening today, our goal is to give you these kind of tactical strategies you could start to test and implement in your brand. So Marco, I think this was perfect and a really great example of that. So I appreciate you and the Loop team taking the time. And for everybody listening in, thanks for joining, and we will see you back tomorrow for the next session. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Marco.
Thank you.